if you don't develop your values first and live within it and you chase after money, then you're always going to be chasing after money because you will never be fulfilled and satisfied. And that money will not multiply easily. That money will be coming in and out, and you always be chasing it. A lot of people value money and they always see money as one thing that they really desire. And I always tell people that money is just a medium of exchange of what you value. However, instead of stopping to reset, we just keep adding more plaster over it. And over time, it collapses. The harder we work to build it, the harder that building is breaking down. And we just keep doing it until our body can no longer take it, and then we actually break down ourselves. Hello, ladies. It's a girl, Titilayo 3.8. And in today's audio of Becoming, we are going to be talking about value. We're going to be talking about how to increase your internal value, because a lot of people get this wrong and they always think that value has to do with maybe material stuff. Like, okay, they might say, oh, what do you value? Oh, I value my car. I value my house. You know, a lot of people go on about things that they can see externally. However, what they have not yet connected to the things that they can see externally is that those things that they can see externally that they value is a representation of your inner value. It's a representation of what your mind has created outside. So say, for example, you are kind of a person that you value cars, maybe you value beautiful cars. And you might just think that, oh, I value beautiful cars. Car is my thing. It has to be beautiful. I really, really value it. And you might think that that is one of your value. That is not actually your value. Your internal value could be you value beautiful moving objects. What is that beautiful moving object to you internally? So internally, you value things that glorifies you. Internally, you value things that allows you to see the beauty in yourself. So you value things that are just shining and looking so good, and at the same time moving you faster. So those are the things that you value internally. However, your mind has to look for a way to make your internal value relate with your external circumstances. So your mind create conditions or things outside of you to make you witness what you value inside of you. So you might like speed, but you like to move with speed and be feeling cool and nice and shining. So your mind is just going to move you towards the car and make you value more of that. So externally, you're going to say, oh, my biggest value is having fast, beautiful cars. Whereas internally, what your mind, the picture that you've created for your mind might just be beauty, joy in beauty, and things moving fast. So that is just like an example. So I'm going to use my own personal example, and I'm also going to use the client's example. So for me, personally, I value ease. Yeah. I like to do things with ease. So externally, what I will witness externally is easy things will come to me. So basically, I do not like to stress myself, and I like ease. So externally, the way my mind is going to relate that ease for me is going to be in the sense whereby I'm not having much things to do. Things are just moving slowly, or maybe people would just give me things easily. Maybe I would have an easygoing life. Another way of ease for me that's been reflected for a long time in my environment is the ease of being a parent. because the universe already knew that this girl likes easy. Yeah. Well, then my mind would call it as lazy. So the universe gave me one child because I was like, an easy life. So the universe thought this girl, if you give her four, she's not going to undo it. So the universe gave me one. Well, I kind of chose it. So it was what I valued that also allowed me to do the choosing. So, for example, like in terms of cooking, so a lot of people will cook for like an hour, 2 hours, to elaborate food and everything. I know already that I don't like that. For me, it's stressful. So, I will make food that I could do within 30 minutes, 1 hour maximum. 1 hour, I'm even tired. So, if I was to cook and you give me an option of food to cook, I would choose the easy one because that's the reflection in my mind and that's what I value. So that is an example of what I value. So, for example, another client of mine, she's always valued security, just having that sense of security. So, because that's what she values internally, externally, what she tends to have is that she works with a lot of systems to keep her secured. So anything that she can systemize, she would incorporate it. Anything that would not cause a lot of chaos, that would allow her to follow regimen or routine to the T, she would put it in place. And that's because she values security. And because she also values security, she also was pushing hard on the money side just to get more money because a lot of people related money with security. And that tends to backfire, especially when you allow what you value to dominate you. So once you give what you value, give it that power to rule over you, then it begins to drive you crazy. So we're not going to talk about that today. However, we were able to change how seeing money as security. We're able to change it to seeing our energy and loving ourselves and being in a power as security than the money. Because when she is in a power, when she is loving herself more, the money will come naturally. And when she's having more energy, the money will come naturally because there is no way. Money, energy, power, being your true self, they move together. So once we made that shift, then our value of security wasn't running our life. It was the other way around. She, dictating how she uses energy and then the money follows. So that is one thing about internal value mirroring the external value. So the reason why I wanted to go through this is because a lot of people also value money. And they always see money as one thing that they really, really desire. And I always tell people that money is just a medium of exchange of what you value. Is you don't actually just want to have the money and put it into your house or put it in your bank account, be looking at it and say, oh, I love you so much. We're gonna have fun together. No, you want to get that money to be able to exchange it for something else that you value. For some people, when they receive a huge amount of money, if they don't have something specifically that they value, the money is just going to go in and out. It's not going to go into anything sufficient that will make them live a grand life. It's just going to go in and out. But for some people, when they receive money and they already have the values that they want to use the money for to help them live a better life. So say, for example, someone received a huge amount of money and they've always valued freedom. Like it's always been at the core of their mind. They've always wanted to have the freedom to travel to different countries, have the freedom to not cook, have the freedom to not even work. Immediately they get that money. That money is just going to go into the things that they value. Whereas some people, they don't really have anything in mind that they value. They say they want money, but then when they get the money, some people are just wanting the money to go and pay bills and to show off to other people. Some people, when they get the money, what does the money do? The money goes into paying off bills. They never satisfied. They never happy. Or the money just goes to showing off for their friends, which they never get any satisfaction from it. So they're always going round and round. in a loop and trying to get more money, but there is no satisfaction there. Some people just use the money anyhow because there's nothing really that they value. So it is very important that at this stage of your life that you have some specific things that you value. But having specific things that you actually value that could allow you to live a prosperous life, a wealthy life, and a happier life, and a life full of joy, fun, everything is very, very important. So to you, it might be love, it might be having good relationships, it might be freedom, it might be having more energy. It could be different things. For me, it is freedom, energy, having choices, love as well. So these are values that you need to be working on every day. Because if you move away from your values and start working on other things that people are doing because you see someone having a 4 bedroom home and you just not like, oh, they have it. We can have it as well. But deep within you, the value within you is not to live in a 4 bedroom home and stay still in one place. The value within you is to have that freedom to move around the world, to have that freedom to live in different places. However, because you have lost your values along the way, and you are disconnected from your true self, then you end up doing what Mr. A and B is doing. I say, oh, they've got a 4 bedroom house. Yes, let's work towards it. Let's go and buy our own 4 bedroom house. And then you buy the 4 bedroom house and you just feel dissatisfied. Things are not moving naturally. The money is not coming naturally to even pay for it. Everything has to be a force because you've moved away from your path. You moved away from the true essence of who you are. So that is one bit about value. And I would not want to teach a lot about value because I know you can learn a lot on the internet and you can learn how you can work with your value on a day-to-day basis. This is very important, especially for people that desire so much money. Because I'm saying it right now before we move into wealth consciousness, which is going to be in another audio, is that if you don't develop your values first and live within it and you chase after money, then you're always going to be chasing after money because you will never be fulfilled and satisfied. And that money will not multiply easily. That money will be coming in and out, and you always be chasing it. So you have to build your values internally first so that it then attracts the right support to you and expresses itself externally. So I have been able to discuss value. So now we are going to talk about how you can build that internal value. So for some people, so let me just use myself as an example here. So before I even knew that I valued freedom, I have always been that kind of a person that I don't like to be held down for so long. I like to experience whatever my mind or my body wants to experience. I like to try different things. I like to move. I don't just want to be stagnant in one place for so long. So I've always knew that even right from university, immediately I finished university and started working, I could not stay in one job for more than 1 year. After a year or even 6 months, I just think this is getting too old. We need something new. I just wanted something new. So I was always moving around from one job to another, exploring different things. I just didn't want to be held in one place. And then when it came to even being in a relationship or even being with friends or people or even in my family, I wanted to be free to do what I wanted. You cannot tell me something and okay, maybe I will listen because I know it's for my own benefit, but then you cannot hold me down and keep saying, oh, you have to do things my way. Like my spirit just gives up. I say, no, 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 it's enough. I've done things your way, things like I have to do things my own way. So for a very long time, like in my 30s, I started recognizing and knowing that, oh, this girl, I think the spirit within me loves freedom. The spirit within me does not like to be tied down. And then I knew that freedom was one of my values. And then another thing was that I knew that I had a lot of energy. My energy is just coming back up so quickly. So I have so much energy to just do whatever I wanted to do. So I've always loved energy. Anyway, one of the two things that I value most is freedom and energy. So this have always been my values. However, because of life, society, and forgetting ourselves and not knowing who we fully are, then we disconnect from our true self. Slowly, we move away from the things we value. So we say to ourselves, we want freedom, we want more energy, but then because we've been damped down by life situation, other people's beliefs, circumstances, we forget what it means to have freedom. So I would say to myself, oh, I want to work on freedom. I value being free. And then an opportunity comes for me to be free and say, oh, okay, since you value to be free, start working by yourself or start doing things by yourself or leave that relationship so that you could be free. Then my mind will come and play this drama. Remember what happened the last time when you tried to be free? You were hurt. You were alone. Don't go there. And then those stories will play in my mind, and then I'll listen to the stories and beliefs that my mind has made up, and I will not work towards my value. So I am not going to go into that aspect because that is what the Life Reset Workshop is about, where you can reset the patterns that's been actually limiting you from your desires, from the things that you value, so that you can reconnect, you can reset it, let go of those patterns, build new beliefs, new stories, and start reconnecting and working with your values and the things that you desire. So anyway, how to now build your internal value. So from my first episode of your potential, knowing what your potential, So once you found out like, oh, I could actually do this, and you put your mind to it and you say, oh, I know that this potential is in me because I'm so passionate about it. I could sleep, eat, and drink on it and never be bored of it. Oh, this is really what I love to do. And you say, oh, if I put my mind to this, to doing this, I know that I'm going to grow to build big oak tree. And then you put your mind to it. This is the point where you now have to start connecting your potentials to your value. So you now have to start saying, okay, this is my potential. Like, for example, I would put myself into this scenario. So I said to myself, this is my potential is that I love helping people. I love helping myself. I love talking. I love inspiring. I love motivating. I love helping people grow. I love seeing myself grow, learn more, experience, be bigger. That is just me. So I saw my potential. I said, this is grand. This is big. So how would I love to make this happen? So I had to connect my values with it. And I thought, okay, if this is what I do, what would I love and how would I love to do it? So from what would I love, started coming up with my values. I said, oh, what would I love? Oh, I would love to do it in a freeing way. Anyway, in a way that frees me, allows me more time to be able to use my energy wisely. So I started thinking about my freedom, my values of being free, my values of having energy, my values of having choices, oh, my values of, of having great service, receiving great service, giving great service. So I thought, how can I make that fit in? This is where the mind is actually needed. And the mind takes that instruction and start to work with things that fit your value and your potential so that you can put it together. Once you have your values and your potentials and you put them together, then the path starts to form. So for me, the way the path started to form was that I realized that if being free is one of the things that I value and having enough energy, working for another people, doing what my potential is would not work because I'm not going to be free to do what I want. People are going to tell me to do it in their own way and style. That does not free me. I'm not going to have that enough energy to circulate around the way I want it to circulate, then I'm not going to be able to make those choices. Then the service I actually want to give in a particular way and receive, I will not be able to have it. So I just thought, you know what, the best way came, and that was, how I came about my business. And that's how I've always been an entrepreneur anyway from a very long time ago. So this is how your potential and your value, they marry each other. Once your potential and value marry each other, then you need to start building that up. And the way you build that up is in your choosing and your awareness of it. So you know what your values are. So for example, my values were freedom and energy. So I start choosing things that will give me more freedom. Okay, I realized that at one point I didn't want to train clients in person anymore because it does not give me that freedom to move around. In the beginning, I was training one person from A to B, traveling up here and there. I was traveling all around, and then I was getting so tired. My energy was diminished. That wasn't giving me the freedom and giving me more energy that I wanted. So I had to drop that. So no, I'm not doing in-person training anymore. And thank God for the way life is running. We can now do everything online. I switched to online. So those were the ways that I was developing my inner value. Once you start developing your inner value, the universe starts to bring support to you, whether it's financially, emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever support that allows you to keep exploring and developing those values, you start to receive it as long as you're open to receiving it. And that's why I would like to pause here and come back in another episode where we will speak a little bit more about value and how it relates to your wealth consciousness. I want to use this opportunity to invite you to my life reset workshop because this workshop allows you to fully see what's been running your life, the patterns, the beliefs, the stories your mind has made up that has driven you away from who you truly are, that have disconnected you from your true values, your essence, your potentials. Because once you are able to see it clearly, you are able to know what to fix, what to let go and build. You cannot build something blindly. You cannot repair a car. You cannot repair a building without knowing what went wrong in the first place. And this is what a lot of people are doing. Something is broken or damaged, or your life is not just working the way you want. However, instead of stopping to reset, to rebuild it, to troubleshoot what actually happened, we don't. We just keep adding more plaster over it. And over time, it collapsed. And instead of us to stop, we just keep working hard. The harder we work to build it, the harder that building is breaking down. And we just keep doing it until our body can no longer take it, and then we actually break down ourselves. We need to stop doing this. This mentality is driving a lot of people crazy and mad and causing chronic illness and disease within the body. This is within the body and mind. So, join the Life Reset workshop. You will gain so much that you can work with. Because once your eyes are open, once you are fully aware of what it is, you are going to be living the life that you truly desire. You are no longer going to be building and doing, and there's a whole lot of damage and breakage happening, and you keep getting the same old result that doesn't move you closer to what you want. And you will not be struggling and working so hard anymore, because your doing will now be retained and multiplying, and it will now be effortless for you. All right, don't miss out on this opportunity, because the next 2 weeks look like the last 2 weeks. So make this choice today. Anyway, my name is Titilayo. I'm your identity and body reset coach, and I look forward to seeing you in my next audio of The Becoming. Ciao.